teenage boys are dying due to a direct link to sextortion, but hardly anyone is talking about it. But luckily for you, I am, because I genuinely care about our young men, and it's absolutely disgusting that hardly the media is talking about how our young men are being targeted by sextortion. When I say men, I mean biological men, trans men, and trans women are being directly targeted. And yes, women and young girls are being targeted and sextorted, but not like this. So you're probably wondering, what's my expertise about this? How do I know so much about this? Well, my area of expertise and interest is in human trafficking, and sextortion is right up along that alley, and I have written so many papers in college about human trafficking and about sextortion that I'm pretty sure my professors are absolutely fed up about this. And I have this YouTube channel, I have this TikTok channel just talking all about human trafficking and sextortion, so you could definitely follow me on TikTok if you want more condensed versions. And I do have videos already uploaded on my YouTube channel. I do have one just talking specifically about sextortion, and I also have some of my React With Me videos on TikTok. If you guys don't believe me, I have tons and tons of things just highlighted. This is from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, so everything I am saying to you is backed by highly expertise non-profits like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I'm ghost certified in human trafficking. This is my area of just what I'm genuinely interested in. I have read so many papers about how kids and young adults are being targeted online. But don't just take my word for it, you can definitely go and research about this. Why am I saying that sextortion is on the rise and mainly young men are being targeted? Well, in case you don't know what sextortion is, I definitely do have a YouTube video about it, and you should definitely watch that before you watch this. But just a quick condensed version is sextortion is a form of just being sexually exploited online. So you're talking to this person online, you're online dating, they're like, oh, you're so cute, you care about them, you send them a cute little nude pic, which they most likely would suggest, or send a nude pic of themselves, which is probably they stole it or it is a real pic, and then you send a pic in return, and then they suddenly exploit you for more pictures, for money, for anything, for you to buy something and send it to them. Like, they use you, and a lot of this results to self-harm from young men and from young women, and it is on the rise. Like, it is over the 100% on the rise. Like, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Operation Underground Railroad Rescue, and where I got this necklace, I bought it from a human trafficking survivor to help support her. It is growing, and they normally pick kids that they don't have like a huge form of support, but also a lot of these kids that you're seeing that are posted on the news websites, they do have loving families, and they fell in love with this guy, they fell in love with this girl, they send a picture of themselves, and then they get exploited. Like, I highly recommend you watch this documentary, and I'm gonna have it up here, and you will learn a lot. And a lot of it does happen on US soils, but there genuinely is farms of people and world countries that just don't have a lot of money, so they use these women, they use these trans women, and they exploit these people from America, because America is generally way more wealthy than these countries, and then that's how they get their money. And another quick thing that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, if you're not fully aware of that, that's where you normally see the missing kids posters, that they are the ones that create these, and they are the ones with these police stations that create these Amber Alerts. Like, these guys are amazing, and they have noticed that 98% of the children that go missing were enticed online. So if you are a parent yourselves, or you are a child yourselves, please, please, please be careful. I'm getting a little bit off topic and why I'm specifically saying that young men are being targeted. It is hard enough for women to come forward about them being exploited, about them being harmed in a sexual manner. Exponentially harder for young men to open up, because I don't know if you're aware of this, because the University of Ohio is facing like this huge lawsuit because there was a creepy pedophile that was going around in this wrestling area and he was harming these kids. He was this doctor and he would harm them sexually. Like, even one of the cases, he legit drugged a hockey player. I believe he was a hockey player. He was an athlete for the Ohio State. He drugged him, brought him to his apartment, and did way worse things to him in his apartment. Like, it is hard for young men and even anyone in general to open up about being harmed. And this is why you're not hearing it on the news. You're not even hearing the form of sextortion on the news because they don't want to talk about it. Or if they do, they're like, oh, it's too broad. The media is lying to you. They lie to you so much. And with my TikToks, so often I have to argue with TikTok to have my videos posted because they're like, oh, we gotta take this down. It seems like way too out there, but it's not. All the things I say are backed by experts. Our young men are being targeted, and there are so many, and specifically in high school, so many of these boys that have so much life in them. They're usually very vibrant people. They're on the sports. They have unique interests that are just specific to them. And these parents, they don't know. They don't know that this is happening to their boys because they are not comfortable opening up about it because they feel so much shame. And that's what these people, these sick individuals, bank on, is that young men rarely talk about them being harmed themselves. That's the first thing that they bank on. And two is the shame, because these guys, once they get their hook on you, because they have that photo of you, they're like, you can't tell anybody. They're gonna be so ashamed of you as your son because they most likely know your parents' Facebook, they know your parents' Instagram, and they use that and they're like, I will send this to your parents and I'll send this to your school and everyone's gonna make fun of you because of this. And I have seen this even with posts when someone talks about this, like a loved one, when the news breaks about someone hurting and harming themselves and they're not here anymore, and they make a post about this on social media, and then you see other guys shaming, which makes it even more hard and more difficult for guys that are going through this to open up to friends, to open up to loved ones, because they see these posts and other guys are like, this is why you don't send with face, this is stupid, they should have known. Like that. It is so hard, and I wish I could just change this culture so young men can feel like they can open up and talk about this. And this is why I'm creating this channel. This is why I'm talking about this, so other guys can talk about it. That's why when I talk about this online, specifically on TikTok, that's why I get so many views and so many people talk about it in the comments below, that they themselves face this or their loved ones face this, and it's disheartening because they don't feel like they can talk about this to others. They can talk about this to their loved ones. Our young men are being targeted and our laws are not moving fast enough to catch up with this. Like, it takes the deaths of these young men and the courageous movements of their parents, of their families, to go and make laws about this in their state. It takes the death of a literal child for people to open up and see about this. Why? Why can't we just acknowledge that this is happening? Give resources to our schools, talk about internet safety, make that a class, so these young men and so these young women and everyone else will not feel like they are being harmed and they can't talk to anyone about this. And if this is happening to you, please go on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's a literal questionnaire. It's so fast, so easy, and just put up a picture that you believe is up on there and they will scrub it off the internet. You will not see it, and they do this for free. They do this for free. You can talk to them, or you don't even have to say a single word to any living human being. Like, it is so hard to see the pictures of loved ones mourning because these young men and these young women, they don't feel like they can talk to anyone about this. Like Braden Marcus, 30 minutes after he was sextorted, he was gone. He was gone from this planet. He was only 15. A freshman in high school. A literal baby. And he was gone. And all I get is a mere article. What is this? Brandon Guthrie, after his son died, Gavin, after being sextorted, there was 1,000 teens just calling him from his area. 1,000 teens. But they don't want you to know this. The media doesn't want you to think that it's such a huge deal. It's happening everywhere. It is on every single town. It is in every single city. It is everywhere. It is not just in the US. It is in the UK. It is in all countries and continents of this world. Besides, I don't believe Antarctica, but you know, it is happening everywhere. But it's like the media wants you to feel like you're alone battling this, because you are not the only one. You are not the only one that's being sextorted. These young men. I genuinely wish the media would talk more about this so young men will feel more inclined to talk about this. So their own peers, these men, would stop shaming each other. Stop pointing at each other and be like, this is your fault. You're an idiot. This is why I feel like there's more male victims of human trafficking, of sexual harassment and so forth, but they feel like they cannot talk about it because those young men, those college students at Ohio State, they held that with them for years, for literal years. They had freaking families, they got married, and they carried this all with them. Some of them probably didn't even go to therapy because they would feel ashamed to go to therapy because of this, and there's the stigma with young men going to therapy. There's a stigma of men that just feel like they cannot get harmed unless they're little kids. And even with their little kids, they're like, oh, I bet you like that older woman touching you. I bet you like that. I bet you like older women now. Who says this stuff? Your friend feels willing to open up about a traumatic experience and you go, oh, I bet you like that. No one likes that. No one likes feeling less than. No one likes that. And I hope if you feel courageous enough to talk about this, put a comment down that no one shames you, and I will definitely monitor it and make sure that no one shames you, because you are genuinely so strong. You faced a hard hurdle in your life that they purposely make you feel like you're isolated and you don't have a choice to make. That's what these sextorters do. They just constantly spam you with messages, with calls to make you feel so overwhelmed that you just can't talk about it, that you can't make the right decision, and that you have to conform to what they want, or you harm yourself. Like what this dad said about Brandon Guthrie, about his son Gavin that died. He said, I felt like my soul was being ripped out of my body. His soul felt like it was being ripped out of his body. This is why I'm making this video. And I hope it goes viral so young men know that they are not alone. There's people out there that love and care for them, and that there's resources that they can go to genuinely help. That's all I want. That is all I want. I'm so sad seeing these faces of these young men, and there's so many. There are so many young men that hurt themselves and that are gone from this earth because they got sextorted, and they're hardly written about. Some of them are written about. Some of them have laws named after them, but only after their death because no one wants to acknowledge it, and our system is way too slow to acknowledge just to make laws about this. Before one of the acts that was signed by President friggin' Trump, it was just a civil law. It was civil law, and you only get like a mere dollar's worth, but you have to pay for that attorney. You have to go through all this emotional strain for them to be sentenced, to even go to their trial. It was just a mere civil lawsuit, and now it's a federal crime. Now it's a criminal law. It's not just civil, but we are moving way too slow, and young men need to be taught about this. And I wish that there's classes that we have now in school to teach this, because our world is filled with technology, and we all know that our schools are not caught up, and most of the times they're not even teaching the right things. This is why I wish we had like an online safety class where students are learning about the stuff, learning how to use technology, learning that there's a digital footprint for their future occupations, and what they post will harm them, because now employers are looking at your social media to determine the kind of person that you are. I wish we we have this so young men know about this. They know about the harms that are out there because the news, the media doesn't talk about this. They don't talk about it, and it's really disheartening, and a lot of parents didn't know that their kid was going through this before they woke up one day and saw that their kid was gone. You are so loved, young men, and I know the media, they portray you to be the villain most of the time. Now, I'm a feminist myself. I think women should be able to choose between wanting to be a mother or wanting a career, but I value life, and I don't think men are as horrible as the media are portraying them. I am in this field. I learn a lot about human trafficking. I consume true crime like no one else, and it disheartens me so much. They don't talk about this, about any sexual harm at all, about young men. Rarely. They rarely do. Even with the state Ohio lawsuit, I had to find out from a true crime podcast. I didn't hear about it in the news at all. I didn't hear about it at all from the news. I got it from a true crime podcast. It is so disheartening, and we as a society need to do better about this. We need to do so much better about this, about talking about sextortion and the harm of young men. And I hope you enjoy this video and you feel you have a chance in life. That is not just all you, and it's not all in your head, and it is not your fault at all. You are so loved, and I hope you stick around just a little while longer, and I hope that your words change if you are one of those men or those young women that just talk down about male crime. Your words change, so your brothers, so your uncles, so your little cousins, so your friends could talk up, like feel open to talk about these things and talk to you because they respect you and they love you and they think that you will understand and that you'll be there to talk about that. There are sources out there for you. You are so loved, and I encourage you, if you didn't know about this, please watch this documentary. Please go to the National Center for Missing Exploited Children's links and their website so you can learn more about it. And I hope you have an awesome day.